Hello guys, and welcome to another hangout with the International Force Rope Timeline. I didn't record any last month. I did record a video for the video section, and not hangout specifically. It's called Andrew Lowney, Andrew Gold, Andrew Prince. You'll find that on the video page at September 28th. I'm having problems with the camera. Usually I record in the dark, but when I turn the lights out, there's nothing to see. So this isn't the episode, if you like, hangout I was going to make. I'll do that one perhaps later this month. This is something slightly different. As you can see, this is called Guardian or Witchfinder, and I think I may be onto something here of false rape allegations and false allegations per se, which emanate from the Guardian newspaper and associated lowlifes. I'll be covering here Tim Westwood, Jian Ghomeshi, Russell Brand, Noel Clarke, and a bit about Rolf Harris. It seems to me that there are people in the media who, perhaps for political reasons, perhaps for their own base reasons, are instigating witch hunts against celebrities. And well, you can judge it for yourself. If you notice pauses in this video, it's because I'm recording it earlier than I usually do. I usually don't record until well after midnight, and at this time, coming up to 10 o'clock, there are trains and everything, traffic, cars outside. So anyway, I'll start with Westwood because this is the most recent case. I'm reading here from the Newsbank version of The Guardian. This is former Radio 1 DJ Tim Westwood charged, presumably charged with rape. This is October 9th, 2025, page 1. The former BBC Radio 1 DJ Tim Westwood has been charged with sexual offences against 7 women, including 4 counts of rape. The Metropolitan Police said the 68-year-old had been charged with offences dating from 1983 to 2016. Westwood has been charged with 15 offences relating to 7 women, 4 counts of rape, 9 counts of indecent assault, and 2 counts of sexual assault. The alleged offences include the rape of a female aged between 17 and 18 in London between 1995 and 96. As well as sexual assault of the same girl in central London in a similar period. She hated it so much she went back for more. He's also been charged with the rape and sexual assault of a female aged between 17 and 18 in London between 2000 and 2002, and the rape of a woman in her 20s in London in 2010. Other charges include indecent assault of a 17-year-old girl in Fulham, London in 1983. Sexual assault of a woman in her 20s in Vauxhall, London in 1986, and sexual assault of a woman in her 20s in Stroud in 2010. The most recent alleged offence was sexual assault of a woman in her 20s in Finchley, North London in 2016. In 2022, The Guardian and BBC News published accounts of 18 women who accused the former DJ of sexual misconduct and predatory behaviour, alleged to have happened between 1992 and 2017. In response to historical sexual abuse allegations, Westwood has previously said he strongly denies all allegations of inappropriate behaviour. Westwood stepped down from his show on Capital Extra in April 2022 and left Radio 1 and Radio 1 Extra in 2013 after nearly 20 years. Detective Superintendent Andy Furphy. If you know what Furphy means, you'll appreciate the humour there. Of the Metropolitan Police said, "It takes courage to come forward and report allegations of this nature." Yeah. Our investigation remains open and we'll encourage anyone who's been impacted by this case, anyone with information, to come forward and speak to us. Anyone at all. There's a quote here from the Crown Prosecutor. There isn't a lot about Westwood in Newsbank or online apart from stuff which isn't particularly relevant. But let's have a look. The first serious mention, this is a report in an Australian newspaper, Courier Mail, Sunday Mail, Q Weekend Magazine of Brisbane, July 21st, 1999, page 22. A report from London by Wayne Francis. High-profile British disc jockey Tim Westwood has been gunned down after making enemies within the violent world of gangster rap. The 41-year-old, a cult figure in the rap and hip-hop industry, was yesterday under police guard in hospital after being shot in the arm at close range by a motorcycle gunman while driving home from a gig. The sort of company he keeps. I should point out that Westwood is white, but he's done a lot for black music, not what I call black music, not blues and like, but so-called hip-hop, rap, I mean, no. Gangster rap, which originated in Los Angeles in the late 1980s, glorifies guns, killings and violence towards women. 2 years ago, New York star Notorious B.I.G. was shot dead in revenge for the murder of his arch-rival Tupac Shakur, who had described women as sex slaves and had been jailed for almost a year for taking part in a gang rape. Charming. Well, Tupac Shakur is a legendary figure because he died young. Westwood, the son of a vicar, is famous for preaching peace on his late night show. And make love, not war. Make love anyway. Last year, Westwood and his longtime girlfriend Tony were threatened by known gangster fanatics outside a gig in Deptford, southeast London. He has made a lot of enemies in hip-hop and gangster rap, a friend said. He's a little white guy, the son of a preacher, who's telling black guys what's cool. I mean, you think that if he's promoting their music, such as it is, they'd be grateful, wouldn't you? If you hear creaking and funny noises, it's a table. Perennial problem. This is from the Sun on Sunday, October 3rd, 2002, page 12. He was at a MOBO award, music of black origin. It turned into a riot, part of the course really, and he appears to have escaped without being shot at. Guests at the party included So Solid Crew's Oxide, Neutrino and Romeo. Sarah Watmore, LL Cool J, strange name, and EastEnders star Judy Ciccone. There's a quote of somebody. It was about 3 a.m. and this guy pulled out what looked like a gun. People all around pounced on him and another guy had a pint glass smashed over his head. There was blood everywhere, shouting and screaming. There were girls crying and guys just swearing and pushing each other. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. This was billed as a posh after-show party in an exclusive hotel. It said it turned into something out of the Wild West. Security guards asked police to come on to the boat to separate the brawlers, and officers found a live bullet rolling on the floor near where the punch-up had started, so it sounds like somebody got lucky there. It was this point that a girl came forward to say she'd been raped in the toilets. Presumably not by Tim Westwood. Or perhaps not by anyone. Fast forward to April 26, 2022, page 1 of The Guardian. Renowned DJ Tim Westwood has been accused of sexual misconduct by multiple women who claim he misused his position in the music industry to take advantage of them. The earliest alleged incident took place in 1992, the most recent in 2017. 3 women have accused the DJ of opportunistic and predatory sexual behaviour, while 4 others alleged they were groped by him at events. The women, who are all black, decided to tell their stories in the aftermath of anonymous allegations of inappropriate behaviour about Westwood circulating on social media in June 2020. Anonymous allegations. So in comes the BBC and their collaborators to put meat on the bone. The Guardian and the BBC, which has released a documentary on BBC 3 about the story, have since spoken to 7 women who made a range of separate allegations about the DJ's conduct. Some of the women say they felt unable to talk about their experiences before because they never happened before. They feared their accounts would not be taken seriously because they were so young at the time the alleged incidents happened, and that racial discrimination would also lead people to minimise, dismiss or ignore their claims. Oh, give me a break. Give me a break. Lawyers acting for Westwood said he was a well-respected and highly successful DJ. They said he strenuously denied in their entirety the serious allegations being made against him. There's quotes here from these alleged victims. I didn't actually see him undo his trousers. What alerted me to the fact that he was exposing himself was the fact that he actually tapped me to turn around to look. I've looked and I've seen and I'm, oh no, like, oh my God, she says. Isabel, obviously not her real name, says she felt scared but unable to get herself out of the situation. She says they arrived at a flat which she believes was his, where he offered her a drink which she refused. He was in his flat, which Isabel says was strewn with records, as she claims she was a victim of a second episode of opportunistic and predatory sexual behaviour. She claims that when Westwood came back from getting himself a drink in another room, he was naked. That's when I noticed he's got a condom and he's removed it from the packet and started putting it on. She says, adding that she recognised the condom for a campaign Westwood had done with the brand Durex, which she promoted at events. Oh, gross, gross. She says Westwood initiated sex, although she did not vocalise her misgivings. She was frozen, I just froze. I'll put a link to that video I made about that garbage by Rape Crisis Scotland. I mean, seriously? Not one of them complained at the time. Not one. Right, let's look at the Noel Clarke case. I've got the judgment. He sued the Guardian for libel and lost, and he shouldn't have done, because the Guardian, their reputation is worth nothing. Zilch. I've got the judgment in front of me. I'll explain why. I actually reported the Guardian to the Press Complaints Commission. Back in 2009, it commissioned or asked Jerry Gable to publish an obituary of Colin Jordan. Jordan was he was Britain's leading National Socialist theorist from 1956, the death of his mentor Arnold Leese, until his own death. And he was not your typical Nazi, he was a school teacher. And the bottom line is that in 1965 there was an arson campaign against synagogues and Jewish premises in London. Jordan's rabidly anti-Semitic wife, Françoise Dior, heir to the Christian Dior, as a Christian Dior fame, Françoise Dior, she seduced two groups of young men ideologically, and they set fire to these premises. Jordan knew nothing about it. When Jordan died, Gable published a obituary claiming Jordan had committed a murder that never happened. This goes back to the 1980s. But basically, before this arson campaign, there was a fire. It took me a while to work this out. I published about this in the 90s. There was a fire at the Masiftal Talmudical College in Cazenove Road, Stamford Hill, the heart of Jewish London. It was an accidental fire, and decades later, Gable tacked on this accidental fire to the arson campaign a a trainee rabbi named Rolf was killed in that, and a guy who became a shock at Judah Gottesman was injured seriously. He jumped from I think second story window, sorry, and injured his leg. I spoke to him back in the night, 30 plus years ago now, and Gable published this. I wrote to the Guardian, pointed out it was a lie, and I got sort of they fobbed me off. In the end, I took them to the Press Complaints Commission, as it then was, and they published a sort of correction. I should have pressed for more, but other things. The Wee Spa incident in Koreatown, Los Angeles. That what happened there was a dude walked into a sauna, a women's sauna, claimed to be this trans guy, this guy with tattoos on his arms and a moustache, walked into this sauna where a woman and her young daughter were, and you know, they didn't like it, they were protesting, and it ended up with this woman organised a protest outside, and the local Antifa turned up, and the Guardian reported this garbage that rumours spread on Fox News about a trans person, well, the whole mainstream media was behind this, but the Guardian reported on that. Rolf Harris, now this is, Rolf Harris was a victim of a miscarriage of justice, no doubt about that. After his death, it became fair game, of course. In case you don't know, I'm the reason Rolf Harris died a free man. Well, he followed my advice, and because he followed my advice and hired somebody a specific person, William Merritt, to investigate his accusers, he died a free man. But after he was initially given, I think, like a 5.5 year sentence. It's on the full scope timeline. And these lowlifes at the Crown Prosecution Service decided they wanted to keep him in prison until he died. They brought further allegations against him. One of them was a blind woman who claimed that he'd groped her decades earlier at the Royal National Institute for the Blind. And what happened was that he was charged. That's one of the offences with which he was charged. What happened was William Merritt and his team, they found Harris went to this place and a sound technician with him, and they recorded an interview with this woman in a small room, and it was obvious. Like they found this guy. She probably thought, hoping he was dead, but they brought him to court, and it was obvious that the groping she claimed couldn't have happened, and the jury found him not guilty. Or I think found not guilty on that, but there was no further convictions. And the other one is Lucy Decatur, the Jian Ghomeshi case. What happened was that Ghomeshi was a radio host in Canada, and this is Decatur, this cunt on the screen. As far as I remember it, you can look it up if you want, but Ghomeshi is a male feminist, which, well, I suppose you could say deserves all he gets. But he was into S&M, and he fractured some woman's rib or something while they were doing what, if you call that sex, you know. But that's little bench creaking, that's fine. And where it came to light, 3 women ganged up and accused him of sexually abusing him a decade before. They did this quite openly. The ringleader was Lucy Decatur, and he was tried. And now Canada and Scotland. Canada at the moment I think is probably the worst. But Canada is the worst place in the world for a man to be falsely accused of any sexual offence. No jury trials. What happened was that Ghomeshi had kept the correspondence, the emails and the letter in particular these women had sent him, and it completely blew away their lies. He was acquitted. There was a fourth accuser. He signed a peace bond in that case. She wasn't a witness for an accuser at the trial. From what I gather, they'd have been clowning around in the studio, and she claimed that Ghomeshi was humping me like a dog, you know. They were young people clowning around. Anyway, after his unambiguous acquittal, the Guardian gave Dicatere space to pout the lies that have been totally destroyed in court. I mean, not just refuted, but totally. After everything I went through, Jian is free. I spent 12 months preparing to testify about one of the most painful experiences of my life. I had to be mocked in open court. Now I know I never had a chance. Liar. Liar. But worse than that is that since then the law has been modified, amended in Canada to make it more difficult for men to falsely accused of rape to clear themselves. Bill C-51. Janice Femengo has written about this. It's absolutely outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. And I would mention also Donald Trump, because he's a bloke who's been falsely accused God knows how many times, including by The Guardian. This is a Trump story, not from The Guardian, but from The Independent. A sexual abuse ruling, 26 accusations, yet Trump is still front runner to be the next president. Yes, 26. And you know why? Because none of these accusers claimed they'd been abused at the time. It was all BS. There's the E. Jean Carroll case here, which is absolutely absurd. But others, there was a woman named Jessica Leeds who claimed he groped her on a jumbo jet or something like that. Natasha Stoyanov, journalist Natasha Stoyanov, took the stand at Miss Carroll's the defamation trial, where she described how she was allegedly sexually assaulted by Donald Trump while assigned to cover the former president's first wedding anniversary at Mar-a-Lago in 2005. Another liar. All liars. Christina Anderson, Jill Harth, Temple Taggart McDowell. All lies, all lies. Pathetic women. So that is the reason Clarke shouldn't have sued. I mean, it'd have been much better off just publishing something of reputation, but he sued them. You know, they went trawling for victims. There's an article here from The Guardian, February 21st. Noel Clarke losing his appeal court challenge that could have delayed Guardian libel trial. Claimed it was a conspiracy, basically. Our report on Mr. Clarke in 2021 was based on the accounts of 20 brave women. After we published our first article, more women came forward. At trial, 32 witnesses are set to testify against Mr. Clarke under oath. Yeah, cunts. I was just stressing he wasn't accused of rape, but everything short of it. The judgment, this was with a female judge, single judge, no jury. It's quite lengthy, it runs to 224 pages. But paragraph 127, there's been much reference to an anonymous email campaign making false allegations against Mr. Clarke. If there was such a campaign, and it seems BAFTA may have received some vitriolic anonymous emails, it was not something to which any of the witnesses were party. No, of course not. One or two of them wrote anonymously to BAFTA, but the matters they raised were true, as I explained below. Paragraph 985, the claimant contends that the most outrageous example could be found in Ms. Cale's witness statement, in which she essentially admitted that she attempted to lead CJS7 into making a rape allegation. Ms. Cale's statement contains no such admission. Ms. Cale explained that CJS7 was a woman who had met Mr. Clarke in a professional capacity. During their first call, CJS7 was extremely upset, crying on the call. And as paragraph 378, I find that Mr. Clarke did not grope or sexually assault Mrs. Irwin, whether at the wrap party, the gala party, or at any other time. The evidence of both Mrs. Irwin and Mr. Clarke that he has never sexually assaulted or groped her is true. Accordingly, this aspect of the Guardian's case is not made out. So they made up a claim that this woman had been groped. I hope we should go along with it. Cunts. So this guy's been saddled with a £3 million libel bill now. As if that isn't enough, he was arrested recently. It was reported by the Guardian, of course, on September 25th. Police searched former Doctor Who star's property on a scene leaving with boxes. So, I don't know. There was an attempt to go and prosecuted for sexual assault or something, but the police declined it. And these women, and the Guardian is absolutely despicable. Now, Russell Brand. This is exactly the same sort of thing that happened with Russell Brand. They went fishing for trawling. They went trawling for victims, perhaps on an anonymous allegation. With Brand, I mean, he was asking for, Shagger of the Year. He was asking for something at some point, asking to be falsely accused at some point. And he was charged with rape. He's had 2 appearances in court. He's living in the United States at the moment. He'll come back next year for the trial. There's one case which there's only one thing he really has to worry about. There's a woman in California. She went to a rape crisis centre on the off chance he had given her some sort of disease. She wanted to get some free penicillin or whatever, and she came away thinking she'd been raped. So they probably put that in her head. I don't believe that Brand is a rapist. I don't believe Tim Westwood is a rapist, and I don't believe any crap about Clarke. Think about it. Right? These are not police. It's not a woman goes to the police or makes an allegation, and then they make a proper investigation. No, these are, whether it's conspiracy, bandwagoning, attention seeking, malice, any permutation. These are allegations that destroy innocent lives, and it's just they're totally beyond beneath contempt. And of course, they're never held to account. Never. Even when women make provably false rape allegations, very seldom they get more than a smack on the wrist. And this is more than I think there's got to be some sort of political motivation here. Russell Brand, because he's like become a sort of new age guru. Clarke, I don't know. I mean, he's black and fairly politically correct, so I don't know. It goes against the grain. That Westwood, I don't know. It's just, it may just be that these people are just cunts. Anyway, that's the latest from the International Full Soap Timeline. Please visit it. If you can press the donate button, buy me a coffee or something, or send me a PayPal, that'll be appreciated. If not, be aware this sort of thing happens, and it can happen to anyone, not just famous men, powerful men, men in the public eye. It happens to teachers, social workers, and ordinary people as well. And the big thing here is delay, purported delay. Real victims In the Clarke case, if any of these would be real victims, they probably slapped his face. In the Tim Westwood case, you'd expected one of them to make some sort of report, wouldn't you? So anyway, that's International Full Soap Timeline Hangout number 125.